Okay, we're changing a fuel pump on my 99 CRV. It's lifted. Not going to get too much into what's going on with it. Just get right to the video. Okay, so we're doing the fuel pump underneath the rear seat. Pull this up. 1, 2, 3, 4 screws. Okay, we took those 4 screws out. This plastic piece should just come right off like that. Side, put the screws somewhere safe. I put them in my kid's car seat. Now we got 3 screws here. This is the fuel pump. Going kind of quick because I know when I'm looking at a video, I want to get right to the point so I can get my job done. So that's what I'm doing. So, typically on a lot of Japanese cars, the fuel pump is underneath the rear seat. On this particular one, it's pretty easy to access. Just comes up. Pulling out these 3 screws. So let's do that. Okay, so kind of jumped ahead a little bit, but pretty much you're able to finagle this out of the way. There's 2 clips, one there, one there. You take these lines off. This is kind of a snap-in fitting. It's got ears on both sides. You got to press those in. It's kind of a little bit of a pain and kind of wiggle this line back. This one's just got a regular traditional clamp on it. You take that off. Then you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 10mm bolts. A lot of people have been saying that you gotta take this cage out. That's a lot more work. So, of course, we like to do things easy as we can. So we're gonna try to finagle this out of here. I wouldn't think that Honda engineers would design this, that you had to take the whole back seat out just to get the fuel pump out, but we'll see. Normally, they're pretty easy. Normally, anything Japanese is pretty easy. So, take those 6 bolts out, set them aside somewhere safely. So I'm going to do that now. Okay, we got all 6 bolts out. I forgot to also say this line is going to be under pressure, so I highly recommend that you wear safety glasses or just be very careful because you might get sprayed in the face. So, typically, before you pull a fuel pump, any fuel pump head off, or fuel pump cover, you want to clean all this. If you should clean it, but I didn't, which I should have, but I just keep, when I undo them and some dirt comes off, I've been blowing on it. Try to get all that dust out of there as much as we can. And then this should come up pretty easily. This is gonna tell me right now if we're gonna be able to get this out. Oh, looks like you gotta pull this little connector off. Typically, they got a little spot where you put a screwdriver in there. Okay, so yeah, there's a little tab right there. You gotta push that in and then pull it off. I use my little screwdriver, set that aside. Make sure you're very careful. You don't want to force this you know, like up, you want to be real gentle with it, because there's a lot of, look at that, didn't even have to pull the cage out. Like I said, you want to be real careful getting this thing out. You don't want to break your float. Tuck that aside a little bit. Boom, here it comes. Let it drip dry for a second. Pull that out. Bam, there it is. So, I'll come back when we put our new one on. So, I got my new fuel pump here. I am putting a turbo on the CRV. So, I went with a Walbro 255. Should be plenty enough for what I need out of it. So, here's the old assembly. Unplug this. Typically, they're not really held in by anything. Just kind of the force of the clamp. So you're gonna want to undo this. We'll come back. Okay, so I got very lucky. The clip is the same. So I was able to push that in there, unclip it. Make sure you take these covers off that the fuel pump comes with. And then you got your new fuel pump bag, wiring, a bunch of stuff that we're not going to use. So put it back together the way that just reverse the process. I'll show you when it's back together. So I always like to use new hose, so I measured that hose. We're going to use a new one. Okay, this is the end result. I always like to put a hose clamp around the pump. You know, the stock one doesn't really matter, but this thing, when it kicks on, if you ever had one in your hand and like tested it, it goes bzz, it kind of kicks sideways. You don't want this thing flopping around, loosening a connection when you're in, you know, in boost or whatever, or even if you're NA, but especially when you're in boost, because that'll cause some pre-det, and nobody likes a hole in the side of their motor. So fuel system's always critical on any turbo car. Good fuel pump, good fuel injectors. I like to put hose clamps on these too. I don't like the traditional style ones. So yeah, if you guys want to see more of these videos, sorry it wasn't more in-depth. I'm in the middle of moving right now, so yeah, been just doing this outside, but did a little bit on my workbench. So, but yeah, just repeat the same process to put it back. Make sure everything, you know, when you go to put it back, make sure you don't drop a bunch of dirt inside your tank. So, all right, yeah, like this video, share it if you liked it and you thought it was helpful, and I'll make more. All right, see ya.